going to be joined by some new friends and allies in collaborating to ask for change, change that you want, that you are asking for to make our communities safe for all of us, and it's going to be fantastic. But before we turn it over to our student leaders, we are joined by a very important adult leader who is here to welcome and kick off our morning. Please give a very, very warm warrior welcome to our fantastic Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Thank you, Marcella. Well, thank you, Thurgood Marshall. I want to just bring you greetings today and add on to what Ms. Salas said, that we are so very proud of you each and every day, and we have such high expectations about and for the leaders that you will become. I am sorry in many ways that you have to step up in leadership on this issue, but I am also grateful that it is you, the young people, that will lead the way, not only for our city, but for our entire nation in making sure kids can be more safe in school, more safe in their neighborhoods, and more safe in our cities. We are having a real conversation about guns, how we can control guns, illegal guns, and violence in our cities. You're going to be working with your colleagues, high school students from around the nation, and talking about what the federal government needs to do to step up and demand common sense gun regulations that keeps kids and communities safe. I am so proud of Thurgood Marshall for the work that you're doing in the classroom, what you're going to do at the march. I know that you will be attending the march, and in many ways you're recognizing your classmates that you lost to senseless gun violence, and you will be able to represent their voices. So I will be looking for you on Saturday, but beyond that, how we as school communities can come together. I was with some of your colleagues from Dunbar Senior High School today. They wrote a piece of legislation that they want us to work on and presenting to the Congress. There are common sense things that we can do, but we also have to remember, as fellow Washingtonians, to concentrate on our own families, our own neighborhoods, and our own schools, and make sure that we're not ever giving up on a single person, and that we're making sure that we're supporting families in every way that we can so that they too can be safe right here. Now, I know you have some incredible teachers here at Thurgood Marshall, right? Let's hear it for your teachers. And I know one of those very incredible teachers has been working with you to understand how you can influence this process and focus on making your school and our neighborhood safer. So let's give a big welcome to Ms. Lee.
Good morning, TMA. It is great to see you here. And I just want to extend an extra special thank you to the mayor for coming to TMA. And of course, while I have the mic, to say we welcome you back anytime, Mayor Bowser. We would love to continue the conversation with you in our classrooms with all of our young people. So if we can give a great TMA thank you to Mayor Bowser. I think the next part we're going to have behind the stage, we'll have joined with our new friends in Parkland and some of your peers to stand with them.
So I'm going to give some directions, and you're so good with directions. This is going to be fantastic, okay? So the spirit of this is that it's not adults, right? It's students led by students, speaking with students, students, right? So all of the adults are going to get off the stage. So I need to, but I'm going to, and we're going to have a little bit of a break because we're going to be joined by our new friends from Marjory Stoneman and also a huge chunk of our juniors and seniors on stage. So we're going to have probably about like a 4-minute break, and after that break, I'm going to need to, like a silent ninja, be able to call us all to silence without a microphone, okay? So we're going to try this now. What we're going to do is, when it's time for us to come to zero, right, to volume level 0, we're going to use the silent hand. So as you see hands go up, your hand should go up, and then all of the adults in the room, can I have your hands up? When I start to count down, they're also going to count down, and by the time we get to 1 and you see the fist, what should we hear?
Nothing.
You got it. Okay, so let's try it. Ready? So when I say 2 and not until I say 2, I'm going to ask you to show with applause and volume and singing and cheering and whatever the Spirit moves you in noise to make, to show us how excited you are about the opportunity to share your stories with the world. Ready? And then, to bring you to 0, we're going to practice the silent hand and countdown, okay? Ready? So let me hear your excitement in 1, 2, 3. You are so good. And so, I think we have probably about 3 minutes. You guys are free to just, hug each other, look lovingly at your friends, tell them how amazing they are, while we wait to transition to the next part of our program.
For the last 15 years, I've been privileged to stand with DC high school students as their history teacher and their biggest fan. Last week, when students took to the streets and walked out of schools across the country to bring awareness to gun violence, I read headline after headline about how amazing young people are, how powerful their voices are, how important it is that they're speaking up. But this wasn't headline news for me. I've known all along that young people are a force to be reckoned with, that their ideas are powerful, not because they're young, but because they are right. I have always known that if change was ever going to happen, it would be because of their voice, demanding us to be better people, working towards a more fair and equitable world for us all to live in. 5 weeks ago, I sat with my friend Robin after a MCFA Challenge teacher meeting and wept about the news following the tragic shooting in Parkland, Florida. I cried for the loss of the 17 lives, for the teachers who pushed aside their own grief to comfort their students, and for my own fear in having the hard conversations in my classrooms around why my students didn't get the same response from the media as the Parkland students did. As Robin comforted me, she asked me what she could do. My response was that I wanted TMA students to be in the same room with Parkland students so they could understand each other's stories and recognize that they are fighting the same fight. Little did I know then that the ask that I made that day 5 weeks ago would be coming true today. It may seem like this story started when Zion was asked if he would share his story at the March for Our Lives, and he bravely said yes. It may seem like today happened because the Parkland students made it a priority to spend time with DC students to understand how guns impact us on a daily basis. But this story actually starts long before those moments. Every time you choose to get up when the alarm goes off and come to school, despite the fear you feel traveling across the city or even being in school, you are a part of this story. Every time you choose to bravely take an opportunity to experience something new, despite feeling pushed out of your comfort zone, you become a part of this story. Those are the moments of resistance that students in every city make every day that have prepared you for the fight before you. My hope as we all work together to make all communities safer is not only that laws are changed, but that lives are changed. That once what felt like a hopeless conversation now feels possible. And that the example that is led by those on this stage and in this audience set a precedent for us all. That true power comes when those who are in the spotlight help shine the light on those who often feel forgotten. This is a world I believe in, and I will gladly stand with you as you lead us there. It is my honor and privilege to introduce two of our TMA warriors who inspire me every day. Please welcome Zion and Lauren.
All right, hello everyone. We are honored to welcome the students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in the historic neighborhood of Anacostia, and specifically our school, Thurgood Marshall Academy. Gun violence is an issue that our DC community and other cities have experienced for generations. Although we personally have not experienced a school shooting, we know the destruction of guns also will. This year alone, we have lost two of our own TMA warriors to gun violence, Paris Brown and my brother Zaire Kelly. Gun violence is something that impacts us all. By a raise of hands, if you have been affected by gun violence, please raise your hand to honor those you have lost. All right, as you can see, living in this city forces us to deal with the impact of guns on a daily basis. We are thankful from the students. We're thankful the students of Parkland not only began to speak out stronger for gun laws, but also expanded the conversation to include other young people who have been advocating for safer and stronger community for years. It is time we feel safe as we walk to school, spend the day learning at school, and getting involved after programs and safely travel home. Thank you.
The students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School lost 17 members of their community in one deadly shooting. We have too lost just as many friends and family members to gun violence. It is our shared grief of our loved ones that we stand united in this call to action. I would now like to introduce our guests from Marjorie Stoneman. You may recognize them as the students who gave speeches about gun control a few days after they experienced a traumatic shooting inside of their school, reminding me of myself and Zion as we stood on that stage giving speeches on behalf of Zaire. Their speeches and tweets have gone viral and created new opportunities to amplify the voices of young people. I am overjoyed for them, as I feel like they are one of us. For the simple fact, students at our school have been fighting for this amount of attention for months. David Hogg is a new friend and ally in our work to make our community safer. He was also a student and student journalist at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas that reported live from the shooting while it happened. After sharing his story nationally, he declared that he would not return to his high school, remaining on strike until sensible gun legislation was passed. After meeting these students this morning, I am hopeful that as we join forces, we will all take action to see the changes we are calling for. Please welcome all of our new friends from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Yeah, David.
So we're here today in DC, not only for our march, but to make sure that each and every single American that's out here that has been affected by gun violence, that have seen the loss of their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their parents, and their boyfriends too. We've seen again and again the media focus on school shootings and oftentimes be biased towards white privileged students. Many of these communities are disproportionately affected by gun violence, but they don't get the same share of media attention that we do. It's important as people of the American society and people in the media recognize this inequality and that we work to solve it. First, though, we must call it out, and we must call it for what it is, and that's racial biasness towards us and many other people that's not only in the media, but is in our society too as a whole. It's only through working together as Americans and coming together that we will solve this solution, and that is why we need a unified front with each and every person. Today here in DC, hearing the stories of so many people that have been affected by gun violence, especially in an amazing place like DC, where you would think, where children, brothers, sisters, and so many others that are the future of our country are dying, you would think that these politicians would take action and not just make empty promises like I've heard they've done in the past and that they've done with us too, but actually take action, not only for us, but for the future of America and DC and children everywhere. What we need to realize, though, is so long as we have this unified front and we come together stronger as Americans and we work together to solve this and we hold our politicians accountable, we must continue to do so because, in all honesty, they do not care if we do not get out and vote. If we do not stand up and make our voices heard as Americans, they will not take action. We have to make our voices heard. I want to make sure that these students too get their chance to speak because their voices are just as important as mine because no matter what your race, creed, ethnicity, religion, or class, at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we all suffer the same. We all bleed the same red blood. So I want to leave you on this final note. If you're out there listening right now and you think that this is something that can and will not affect you, I want to inform you that I thought that too. I thought that even though I knew about these topics and I'd been debating them for the past 4 years through speech and debate, that this wouldn't affect me. And it was through the realization that it would that I only stood up and took action. But now we together as Americans, regardless of whether or not you've been affected, regardless of what your race is, regardless of your ethnicity or religion, we must stand up together as a unified front as Americans and fight for change, because no one else will. Thank you. And the way you can do that, one of the best ways to start off this fight for our lives is by marching with us on Saturday, the 24th of March, to make our voices heard as Americans so we can fight for change. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Hello. What's up, guys? I'm Alfonso. David's really smart. I'm just kind of comedic relief, so don't worry. So, on a realer note, this past Valentine's Day, all the people at my school or my community lost someone. And nothing in my entire life has affected me that much, ever. Not only am I a different person, but I was robbed of my innocence. I no longer get to go home and just be a normal kid. And I know you guys are going through the exact same thing. You just don't have the platform. People aren't listening to you. They just don't even care. Just yesterday, I was with some politicians, and I was sitting next to the DC police chief. He talked about all the issues that he thinks he's facing, but not once did he mention the people of this community. Not once did he talk about gang violence or people who are losing their lives every single day for absolutely no reason. And that's the problem. I keep getting asked, why do you think the other side doesn't understand these issues? The honest answer is, they don't live through them. I know before everything happened at my school, I wasn't thinking about this every day. I wasn't worried about this. But this is one of the biggest pressing issues in our country right now. Not even in the country, the entire world. And I would never wish that someone would have to go through something like I did, but you guys are facing the exact same thing every single day. Every single day you wake up and it might be a thought in your head, I might die today. I only had to go through that once. You guys go through it every single day. And what I want from this speech, from everything that's happening at this school, I want to hear what you guys want to say. Because if I get to talk to that police chief again, he sure as hell should know I'm going to bring some of you guys with me. If I get to speak to him again, your voices not only will be heard, must be listened to. This isn't a discussion anymore. This is action, because that's what we need. We keep talking about politicians being held accountable, but the responsibility is on us. Sadly, the system has been made in that way. We have to go through the pain. We have to go through all the semantics and all the things that are limiting us. But if we put our nose to the grind and we work every single day, not only us, but you guys, I can't express this enough. You guys are so much more important than I am. I am so insignificant. I am just a 16-year-old kid from Parkland, Florida. Yeah, I'm 16. I know. Sorry. But on a serious note, this Saturday, we have an opportunity. It's an opportunity like none ever before. The amount of people that are going to show up is something unprecedented. This issue is going to turn into the #1 issue in this country. I know that's not only what I want, but I know it's what you guys want. If there's anything you'd want to be said, if there's anything you want to be heard, if you want to be heard, there are so many ways now. Talking to politicians, they're always going to try to talk around in circles and say that you're wrong because of X, Y, and Z, but that's not true. They don't know what it's like to be 20 feet from an AR-15. They don't know what it's like to have somebody you love die because of laws that aren't adequate. And it's heartbreaking. They're presenting ideas that aren't solutions. They're bandages to stab wounds. It's just not going to work. The only way that we're gonna be heard is this Saturday. And not only after this Saturday, every single day, I know I'm dedicating my life to this issue. Not only for me, but for you guys. I mean, seriously. By the way, next up, I'd like to introduce Cameron Caskey. He's pretty chill.
So, I don't have too much to say. Us here at Stoneman Douglas are here to listen and learn from you guys. You've heard us. We want to listen to you. I mean, from the conversations we've had already, I've learned a lot. But I have one quick thing to say. If I were a politician who were ignoring the real issues, I would not want to mess with kids from Thurgood Marshall. So as the students from Thurgood Marshall, you guys have one really special thing you could do here, which is unite. Unite Maryland, Virginia, everybody in these surrounding communities. The thing is, something I've learned recently that I never thought would be true was that if we don't let them off the hook, there's no running away from us. We are the youth, we are the students, we are the ones who are being educated. Now it's time for them to get educated by us. What happened in our community was devastating and awful, but the truth of the matter is it happened in our community once. You guys are the experts on this. This is a war you've been thrust into your entire lives and you've been ignored. Well, they can't run away from us now and they won't. So anytime an elected official says they won't meet with you, anytime an elected official says they'll meet with you and then doesn't, anytime somebody doesn't listen, that doesn't mean you stop there. That means you fight even harder and you say, okay, see you next week. Thank you all so much for having us. And now the musical silence of Alex Wind.
All right, what's up, guys? I'm Alex Wind. So, there are so many people out there that they want to attack us by saying, you're not thinking about other people, you're just thinking about yourselves. And to them I say, look at this crowd. Look at what we're doing right now. Because this is not about Parkland, this is about the world, this is about the country. Because bullets do not discriminate. The issue is that people think that this is about, politicians, and people think that this is about politics and Democrats and Republicans and making sure that, we get all the opposition out of there. But it's about making sure that people are safe in this country. It's not about the adults, it's about the kids, because we are the future. If they're not gonna make the change, then we're gonna have to go up there and do it ourselves, am I right? At the end of the day, it's not about black or white. It's not about blue or red. It's about life or death, and we need to choose life. How many of you are gonna be marching this Saturday? That's what I like to hear, that's what I like to hear. I'll see you all there, right? All right.
So now we'd like to open up the mic to anyone from Thurgood Marshall who aren't us who would like to speak.
Hi. So, what I want to say to you all is that it doesn't matter who you're arguing with at the moment. It doesn't matter who you aren't friends with at the moment. It matters what we do next and our next step. Our school was racked with 2 tragedies this year. It's not okay. We have elected officials whose purpose it is to help us, and they aren't doing their jobs. And it's time that we call them out for what they're not doing. So, living in DC, it's easy to be in a bubble. We live in the nation's capital. There's the monuments, the statues, the memorials, and all of that, but we need our story to be heard. It should not be normal for everybody in this room to have been affected by gun violence. It should not be normal. It's time for our elected officials to pay attention to us and to what we have to say, because we are the next generation and we have the power. So.
Can I take this off? This is kind of small. First off, let me thank you guys for being here. I think that it's a really positive thing that you guys are doing, like drawing attention to an issue that we have in common. And second off, thank y'all who are marching, but also I feel like it should be much more. Like I feel like more of y'all should be marching, because you can speak on something all you want to, but if you don't push towards reform, then nothing will happen. To these cameras and these government officials who we're trying to reach, yeah, we're looking for y'all. And we're showing up, and I see a room full of people, and we want y'all to show up. So.
Hi. I just want to say 3 things. Register, educate, vote. That is how we're going to get there. And I want to thank everyone here for coming out. I want to thank the cameras. I want to thank the students so much for teaching us so much. And I hope to see you all Saturday. Thank you so much.
One thing that I really want to emphasize is that our voice matters. Like the youth, our voice matters. And just 2 days ago, we were in a town hall meeting where we were told that our voice was going to matter, and we were going to have the chance to speak our minds and propose solutions. But these people in DC, they didn't give us the chance to speak, and they didn't even give us the opportunity to, to speak and express our opinions. And I was talking to Ryan. He's not on stage right now, but he was saying how the kids from Parkland had a town hall meeting with CNN, and they flipped it, and the students didn't have a chance to speak. But now on Saturday and in the future, our voices are going to matter, and our voices, and we're going to have a chance to speak.
It's so funny. We'd like to thank our students from Florida one last time with a big round of applause. I don't know any next steps, but if anyone wants to come up and say any last words, you may.
Okay, can y'all hear me? So I just want to say you can't be in competition with the next person beside you. You have to teach each other and educate and love for things to start. So yeah.
Hey y'all. I just wanted to reiterate what everybody was saying. Please come to the march. It's extremely important that we have an extreme amount of youth participants, because movements like this are always spearheaded by the youth. You can refer back to the 1968 uprising, that was all youth. So please just show up and show support, because this affects each and every one of us.
And when we show up and show out, don't put us down, because we're not going to go back down, because it's our time.
What's up, y'all? I just like to say, since we got the cameras here on all of us, that DC has the strongest strict laws on gun control. And this shows that these kids who are obtaining guns and who are shooting one another, they're all our age, 16 through 20. So how can 16 through 20-year-olds get guns that cost $15,000 in gun stores, but $200 or $100 on the black market? It doesn't make sense. These kids aren't making up to 100 plus a year. And if they're still in school and getting regular jobs, there's a middleman who's giving the youth that look just like us and everywhere around the world these type of guns, these assault rifles, to kill one another. And we are all the future. So if we have these strict gun laws, then that means it's harder to maintain a gun. And that means that their gun control is much harder. And that means that gun trafficking will disappear. So if we have these gun laws that make it more harder for us to obtain these guns, then we won't have to hear another long live or forever so-and-so or I wish my brother was still with me. So that's all I like to say for everybody.
Warriors, you are the most amazing students in the city. You are the most amazing students in the country, and you have made all of us so proud. I would like for you to give yourselves a gigantic round of applause. Let's also give a gigantic round of applause to our new friends from Marjory Stoneman Douglas for coming and giving us this platform. We'd also like to acknowledge the families of both Paris Brown and Zaire Kelly who are with us here today. And let's give a round of applause for Zion and for Lauren for doing such a great job. So I'm going to give some directions now. We're going to transition now out of our rally. I want to say that we still need permission slips. If you want to go to the rally together, juniors and seniors got them. Today after lunch, we'll distribute them to 10th graders. We hope that you will show up and show out, and it will be a really great continuation of the excitement today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask our press corps, so our 5 students who are working with the media, if you could please kindly exit the stage and meet Ms. Pohl in the back corner over there. And then the first group that I'm going to dismiss, what we're going to do is you're going to go back to your locker room and we're going to dismiss directly to 7th period or first lunch. Our 11th and 12th graders, I'm going to ask you to show us that you're here. And now transition to first lunch. You can head over to the back of the main building. Only 11th and 12th graders.